I kind of wanted to get like where you're feeling with the Pistons. Like, which prospects do you like at 5 for them? If they're gonna keep the pick, because that's
Yeah,
a whole nother topic.
yeah. I actually have a piece that'll be up on the Athletic on Monday, where I look at, and this isn't my opinion. I'll give my opinion in a second, but I have a piece up on the Athletic on Monday where I kind of analyze how how the Pelicans drafted under Trajan Langdon the last few years, and try to get an idea of who would be the targets at number 5, working under some of the like characteristics of players that they drafted in New Orleans. So check that piece out to see what the 3 players I kind of landed. And I thought one thing that was interesting is New Orleans never used like a valuable pick on a center. They always either went and got Jonas Valanciunas, who's a proven big man. Steven Adams was a proven big man. So maybe that's intentional, right? You always hear over the last few years that there are a lot of people who don't think there is it's worth spending a lottery pick on a big man, or a more quote unquote traditional center, I should say, not a big man. But so that'll be interesting. But yeah, check out that piece to see which 3 names I think, just observing New Orleans's drafting habits, which 3 could be targets for the Pistons at 5. Me personally, I like Stephon Castle. I like Cody Williams. I like Donovan Clingan. Who else do I like? Ricochet is interesting. I'm not sure. I don't know if I feel like comfortable that any of these guys are going to be like stars. I mean, it's going to happen because it happens every year. Like, it's just the nature of the beast. But I really like if Stephon Castle if that shot can become a thing. Like, I just really like the intangibles he has, and the defense, the ball handling, good size, big fan of his. And I think Clingan has some like build a defense around him type characteristics and size. So yeah, those are the ones off the top. Cody Williams, I think, is a little bit underwhelming at Colorado. I think more people wanted to see him dominate. I think he had some injuries that may have helped derail that, but I just don't know if that's his personality. And he also played with like guys who think they're going to be pros, and it was a weird team there in Colorado. But just his like tools also is like, I mean, 6 with a 7-foot wingspan. It's not like an elite jumper, but like finishes in crafty ways. He shot the ball well, but small volume. So you're curious to see how that translates. Has the length to be a good defender, smart player. I just, the athleticism, I wish it popped a little bit more, and I wish there were more like dominant performances in college. But you kind of look at him, and then you see somebody like Herb Jones, not the same type of player, but similar ways of being evaluated out of college, and Herb has figured it out too. So there's a hint for one of the names in the story.
For sure. I was kind of surprised you said Castle, kind of given like what his campus said, where he doesn't want to go to a team with like a starting point guard already in place. You think that would deter them not to draft him because he's trying to go to San Antonio, probably?
I mean, I wouldn't. Like, he's not going to get here and not play. Like, he's not going to just like half-ass it. I think obviously he probably has somewhere he would prefer to go, but once these guys get to these places, they have no choice if they want to have promising careers. And I think I'd actually rather see Castle in a secondary ball handling role before I would give him like the reins to run my offense. And I think him next to Cade in that regard would be very helpful. And something I think would be super intriguing, just because of, like I said, his ability to break down guys off the dribble. I think he has a very high IQ as a player. And then even defensively, him and Asar could take some of the bigger matchups or the better matchups and allow Cade to kind of find his a little bit of rest there on defense. So I don't think they go Castle. I don't know if he necessarily fits what I think Langdon covets in a prospect, but I like Castle. And I think if you're just going for upside, I think he's, to me, one of the higher upside, if not the highest upside prospect that there is in the draft.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I just kind of wonder, like, what do you do with Ivy in that situation? Like, is he starting? Is he a sixth man? Do you play Castle next to Cade? And there's like a lot of in Sasser too. There's like a lot of question marks there with him. But you draft
Yeah.
best player, you're not going to go for fit because I know a lot of Pistons fans right now in the chat. They're like Dalton Connect or bust. Like they want Connect at 5.
And I'm somebody that I like Connect, and I understand that his game fits some of the limitations that the Pistons have. I guess primarily shooting doesn't
Mhm.
help the defensive side of the floor at all.
Mm-mm.
But like, I don't know. When you win 14 games, I'm not sure you can necessarily afford to pick for fit.
Yeah. Um,
You gotta
I
get some guys.
Yeah, I see like Reed Shepard and Dalton Connect. Like anytime I talk about draft prospects, that's kind of who the Pistons fans want, and kind of the Buzelis thing, which I'm not even going to get into because it's just a tired conversation. They talk more about who he's represented than the player he is.
Yeah, and I
I'm
like
just like,
Buzella. I think
yeah,
he's just I get it. It's around these parts. It's a weird conversation to have. I mean, if you are in the know at all, Buzelis was projected to go number 1 in this draft like 6-7 months ago. He's been on the radar for a lot of people. He's the big wing, almost more guard like to me. I really like his shot. I think that's another guy that could be available, be an option at 5, aside from the Tellum connection. Like I mean, he's a tall wing guard who hasn't necessarily shot the ball well, but I think has a nice looking stroke, cuts well, doesn't need the ball to be effective, has the length to be a good defender, needs to get a lot stronger. To me, a lot of Buzelis' issues are weight room related, and that
yeah,
one thing, getting in the NBA will help him with that as long as he's able to like put on decent weight. Like I like Buzelis as a prospect. Doing more research, and if he gets picked, I mean, people are going to say what they say, obviously because of the connection, but he's very much worthy of a top 5 pick. Like I said, if you were reading way too early 2024 NBA mock drafts right after the 2023 one finished, you saw Buzelis' name right at the top for several weeks and months.
yeah. Him and Ron Holland and Alex Sarb are changing. Like I'm a sicko. Like
Yeah.
I'm already looking at 2025. Like right
I mean,
now,
that
like
draft's fun. Yeah, that draft's fun.
yeah,
Actually fun.
like Cooper Flag and a bunch of other guys that are just going to be like absolute studs. Even the Pelicans told the Lakers, like, hey, you can have our pick this year. We don't want it. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys go ahead and try to win again and miss the playoffs, and we'll take that pick.
Honestly, man. But I honestly think the more I watch like old press conferences with Trajan Langdon, I think they might trade down because I think there are some prospects in the draft that kind of fit his archetype of players that he might like a Tyler Smith from the G League Ignite,
Mm-hmm.
TJ Solong from France makes a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of sense if you want to just bank on potential.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of talent in the first round, but I don't think people have actually like really gone down deep in the this draft because there's not like a superstar in the draft, but there's a lot of talented players that I think are going to have long NBA careers.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing when we say it's not the best draft, I think like you said, it's at the top, and it's kind of the fear of these guys from like, to me, 1 to like 5. I guess like 1 to 15, almost like there's not a lot of separation, and it's like who you draft at 5 could easily be worse than who goes at 15. Like I think that's the big. There's no clear cut guys. Like you can talk yourself into anybody. And I think that's the biggest. Like if I was picking, Sam Presti said it the other day, like I like this draft. Like I would like this draft too if I was picking where the Thunder were picking. Like
Yeah.
there's some decent players there. You're not going to have to pay them a ton, and you don't get the scrutiny of if you whiff on a top 5 pick, if you whiff on 17 or whatever it is, right? So I think, yeah, I don't know. My thing is if he trades it, if he moves down, it's likely probably going to be for more of, like you said, a project player. But I wonder if you trade to move down for a project player, hopefully if you're the Pistons, you either get in that like maybe a player ready to go, like a veteran to as part of the trade, or you get multiple draft picks if you're trying to build assets. But I just am kind of interested to talk to Trajan and find out like what his plan is for this team, because to me that'll help determine what's more likely that they do with the number 5 pick. If he wants to lean in and learn what young guys he has here until the trade deadline and risk maybe value falling even more, like I'd understand it. Like you don't want to lose what you have at home. That's not ideal. But at the end of the day, and I think obviously Troy suffered a lot of this backlash, is he's also, Trajan isn't just starting fresh. Like he has a whole fan base who's been fans of a team that haven't won in 15 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like that dynamic, and it's not unfair because it's sports. Like at the end of the day, people want their team to win, but it was kind of the same argument with Troy. Like Detroit was rebuilding the right way at the time, starting when Troy got there, and it didn't work out. But the teams before Troy, like they weren't rebuilding; they were just bad.
Yeah.
And then they finally tried to start rebuild the right way. Now with Trajan coming in, he's coming on the heels of a situation where fans were ready to believe that they finally rebuilt. We got the number 1 pick. We're going to finally start heading upward, and it didn't happen. So it's like, well, can he afford to keep slow playing it? Does he risk trading young players too early? Like it's not an easy situation to be in, but that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Not at all. And he has a clean slate too. I do want to say that. Like if you want to trade out of the 5 pick, you're going to actually have more salary cap, depending if you don't take salary back. Because a 5th pick is kind of pricey. I don't think some fans understand. Like top 5 picks get paid.
Yeah.
Even though it's just like it's still like around like I think anywhere from I want to say like 7 to 10, like around that area.
Yeah, it's around 7 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So
if I was a team looking to move up, I'd rather have the number 5 pick. Like I'd rather call the Pistons for number 5 than number 3. Or if you think the players 2 to 5, if you think the player you want at 5 or you think could go at 2 might also be there at 5, but you like 2 guys, like even the difference from 2 to 5 is significant financially, and with obviously teams having to monitor their financial situations more, like it's a couple $1 million, like it's not nothing. So I think that's why the number 5 pick could have a little bit more value than people think if the Pistons were to trade it, from the financial aspect alone and kind of the clumping of the prospects.
Interesting. I actually had someone asked me about like the Pistons could like trade out of the 5th pick. I didn't really see too many teams wanting to trade up for the 5th pick, because I was just like, I don't really think it's that valuable. I think it's like if it was in last year's draft, maybe it would be valued like it was a late lottery pick, maybe like outside of that, but I just don't see it like teams trying to trade up to get the 5th pick, unless
definitely possible.
Unless you're the Bulls and you just want to get Donovan Klingon because Vucevic is getting older. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And you've heard reports of some teams looking for extra lottery picks. Like I think Charlotte was one, but they said they'd want to take on bad contracts. And I don't think the Pistons really have a bad contract on the books right now. There was another team looking for an additional 1st round pick. I can't remember who it was. Was it Portland? There was another team looking for another 1st round pick. So yeah, you never know. And as the draft goes, people fall in love with prospects.
Yeah.
Maybe you just never know. But yeah, I agree. Like there's a world where nobody wants to move up in this draft, but you start evaluating and really diving deep into your draft preparation, and maybe you fall in love with somebody.